Welcome to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob and I'm here to help you navigate the world of business English with confidence and ease. Whether you're rescheduling a crucial meeting or adjusting an appointment with a client, having the right phrases at your disposal can make all the difference. In today's episode, we're diving into 6 powerful expressions for rearranging business appointments. These phrases will help you handle schedule changes gracefully, ensuring you maintain professionalism and strong relationships. But that's not all. We'll also explore the principles and techniques behind these phrases so you can use them effectively in any situation. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed to change a meeting time but didn't know how to phrase it politely? Or perhaps you struggled to reschedule an important appointment without sounding unprofessional. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to handle these scenarios with ease. We'll start by understanding the key principles behind these phrases, then we'll go through each phrase in detail, providing examples and contexts where they can be used. And to wrap things up, I'll share some final tips to ensure you're always prepared to manage your schedule like a pro. So stay tuned because by the end of this episode, you'll be equipped with the language skills to handle any scheduling challenge that comes your way. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. Right, let's dive into the principles and techniques for rearranging business appointments. Before we get into specific phrases, it's important to understand why and how we use these expressions to maintain professionalism and rapport in the workplace. First, let's talk about the importance of flexibility and politeness in business communication. In the fast-paced business world, plans often change, and being able to adapt while maintaining a professional demeanor is crucial. When you need to reschedule a meeting, it's not just about finding a new time that works, it's about doing so in a way that respects everyone's time and commitments. This ensures that you come across as considerate and respectful, which helps to build and maintain strong professional relationships. Now, you might be wondering, what's the best way to do this? Well, that brings us on to the key techniques. So, number 1, use polite language and a respectful tone. This is non-negotiable. Phrases like, would it be possible, or could we, show that you're considerate of the other person's schedule. This politeness goes a long way in keeping interactions smooth and professional. Number 2, be clear and concise. No one has time for long-winded explanations. State your request plainly and provide just enough context to explain why you're asking to reschedule. This clarity helps avoid misunderstandings and makes the rescheduling process efficient. Number 3, offer alternative solutions or dates. When you propose a new time, try to offer a couple of options. This shows flexibility and makes it easier for the other person to accommodate the change. It also demonstrates that you've put thought into finding a mutually convenient time. Number 4, ensure you have a valid reason for rescheduling, if possible. While you don't need to go into great detail, providing a brief reason can help the other party understand and accept the change more readily. Just make sure that the reason is professional and relevant. So, let's put this into a practical context. Imagine you're preparing for a meeting but realize you need more time to gather crucial data. Instead of simply cancelling, you could use a polite and clear phrase to suggest a new time. This not only keeps the lines of communication open, but also shows that you're responsible and proactive. So, keep these principles and techniques in mind as we move into our next section, where I'll provide you with 6 powerful phrases to help you reschedule appointments smoothly. Now, it's time to dive into the heart of today's episode, the phrases you can use to rearrange business appointments. Remember, these phrases are designed to be both polite and effective, ensuring you maintain professionalism in every interaction. So, let's get started with our first phrase. Phrase 1. Can we shift our meeting to later next week? Repeat after me. Can we shift our meeting to later next week? This phrase is perfect when you need to move a meeting to a specific time frame, in this case, the following week. It's clear, direct, and respectful. So a good example of a scenario here would be imagining that you're in a project update meeting and you realize that you need additional data to provide a comprehensive update. You could say, "Can we shift our meeting to later next week?" This allows you time to gather the necessary information and present a more thorough report. Now, let's move on to our second phrase. Phrase 2. How about we push our appointment back a bit? Repeat after me. How about we push our appointment back a bit? This phrase is slightly informal but still respectful, making it suitable for casual office settings or internal team meetings. For example, you're chatting with a colleague about a scheduled brainstorming session, but something urgent has come up. You might say, "How about we push our appointment back a bit?" This shows that you're flexible while keeping the conversation light and friendly. Next, let's explore our third phrase. Phrase 3. Would it be okay to bump our meeting to another day? Repeat after me. Would it be okay to bump our meeting to another day? This phrase is polite and considerate, making it ideal for interactions with clients and external partners. For example, you're coordinating with a client on a project timeline and an unexpected conflict arises. You could ask, "Would it be okay to bump our meeting to another day?" This way you show respect for their time while proposing a solution. Moving on to our fourth phrase. Phrase 4. Would it be possible to tweak our appointment date? Repeat after me. Would it be possible to tweak our appointment date? This phrase is formal and respectful, making it perfect for high-profile or important meetings. For example, you're scheduled to present a proposal to senior executives, but you realize additional preparation is needed. You could say, "Would it be possible to tweak our appointment date?" This conveys professionalism and respect for their time. Next up, phrase 5. Can we shift our meeting to later in the month? Repeat after me. Can we shift our meeting to later in the month? This phrase is great for longer-term planning adjustments, offering a broader time frame. For example, during a project planning meeting, you discover that certain deliverables will take longer than you expected. You might say, "Can we shift our meeting to later in the month?" This allows for the necessary adjustments without rushing. And finally, our sixth phrase. Phrase 6. Could we roll our meeting to later on in the week? Repeat after me. Could we roll our meeting to later on in the week? This phrase is flexible and polite, perfect for weekly scheduling challenges. For example, during a weekly team check-in, an urgent issue arises that requires immediate attention. You could suggest, "Could we roll our meeting to later on in the week?" This shows adaptability while ensuring the meeting still takes place. And there you have it, 6 powerful phrases to help you rearrange business appointments smoothly and professionally. Keep these handy and you'll be ready to handle any scheduling changes that come your way. Stay tuned for some final tips to ensure you always make the best impression when rescheduling. You won't want to miss it. Now, let's wrap up with some final tips to ensure you always make a positive impression when rescheduling. Tip number 1. Follow up with an email confirmation. After you've rescheduled a meeting verbally or over a call, always follow up with an email. This not only serves as a written record, but also reinforces your professionalism and attention to detail. For example, imagine you've just asked, "Can we shift our meeting to later next week?" Follow up with an email saying something like, "Thank you for agreeing to reschedule. Our meeting is now set for," insert new date and time. Please let me know if this works for you. Tip number 2, be prepared to negotiate. Now, this is a great one. Sometimes the person you're rescheduling with may have conflicts with your proposed new times. Be ready to suggest alternative dates and times to find a mutually convenient slot. For example, if you say, "Would it be okay to bump our meeting to another day?" and the response is, "I'm busy all week," come prepared with a few more options like, well, how about next Monday or Tuesday? Tip 3. Maintain a positive attitude. Rescheduling can sometimes be seen as an inconvenience. Keeping a positive and accommodating tone can make a big difference in how your request is received. For example, when you need to reschedule, frame it positively. Instead of just focusing on the need to change, highlight the benefits, like rescheduling later in the month will allow us to have a more comprehensive discussion with the latest data. Tip number 4. Be mindful of time zones. If you're working with international colleagues or clients, always consider their time zones when proposing new times. This shows respect for their schedule and avoids any confusion. For example, if you're in New York and they're in London, instead of saying, "Can we shift our meeting to later in the day?" specify, "Can we shift our meeting to 3 p.m. your time?" Tip 5. Use technology to your advantage. Leverage scheduling tools like calendar invites or scheduling apps to propose new times. These tools often allow the other person to see your availability and choose a time that works for both of you. For example, after saying, "Could we roll our meeting to later on in the week?" send a calendar invite with a few suggested times. This makes it easier for the other person to confirm a new slot. And there you have it. With these tips, you'll be well equipped to handle any scheduling changes smoothly and professionally. Remember, it's not just about what you say, but how you say it, and these strategies will help you maintain that professional edge. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Business English Podcast. I hope you found these phrases and tips helpful for navigating the sometimes tricky task of rescheduling business appointments. Remember, mastering these skills can make a big difference in how you're perceived professionally. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you who are eager to improve their business English skills. Thank you for listening to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob, and I look forward to helping you master more business English skills in our next episode. Until then, stay professional, keep communicating, and of course, keep it strictly business.
You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.